Hello, everybody. Snitch Racer here for today's third episode of Snitch Racer's Dungeon. I apologize for the delay. The last 2 to 3 weeks have been a little rough. Without telling my whole life story, I just wasn't really feeling well, and I was quite busy with other stuff. So, anyone looking for the third episode, I'm so sorry for that. I will be making it more of a regular thing now that I've got my feet back under me, that kind of jazz. So for today, I'm actually going to be having four subjects, a bit quicker on each than the previous ones, so not as much time spent on each individual subject because I tend to just ramble on a bit much when I do that. So for today, I find I'm going to do four subjects, try something new. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare, so bear with me here. Not going to be as many sound clip drops and stuff like that. It's just going to be me mostly talking. I have a piece of paper here that has some of the information I need, but today's subjects will be, first of all, I'm going to talk about making affiliate on Twitch for the first time. I made a video about it earlier, but we're going to go into more detail with that, as well as the Leafs losing again. They lost, well, 3 weeks ago now, but I just want to talk about it now. We're going to get into the Kendrick and Drake beef as well. And the last subject is going to be about the fights that happen in NASCAR occasionally, with the most recent one between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch. Well, anyways, let's get into it with our first subject here. All right. So, yes, that's right. I actually did make affiliate on my Twitch channel. Long story short, it means I can now make income off of my streams, which is super exciting. I made a video thanking everybody that supported me over the last few months slash years and everything like that. So I'll leave a link to that video in the description if you want to hear me thank everybody. Once again, I do want to thank everybody off the top of the subject here that's ever supported me. Vantiglobe, Delta, people like that, my brother, my friends, everyone. But the main video, go check that out if you want to see the big thank you there. It'll be in the description. So, I actually have been streaming on and off for about 4 or 5 years. The first time I actually started streaming would have been on YouTube, where I streamed mostly just Gran Turismo. Uh, Nothing too special. I didn't have too much of a following then. It wasn't until after that that I decided to go to Twitch, and I've had a lot more success for there. Now, what else? Oh yeah, and right after that, when I actually started streaming on Twitch would have been GeoGuessr way back in the day. That would have been about 4 or 5 years ago. That was actually my first time I had success. I didn't make affiliate then, but I would actually have regularly sometimes 5 to 8 viewers on every stream. I wasn't streaming often enough to get affiliate, but that was my first time I actually had like some success. It was really fun playing the game with a bunch of people too at the same time. Like for context, GeoGuessr is a game where you're given a random street view location, and you have to, without Googling, you have to figure out where you are using the map. It's one of my favorite games in the world. Definitely check it out if you want to. I used to be considered somewhat of an expert in that game 4 or 5 years ago. I've since stopped playing as much, and now the experts are like, they can look at like a sign and be like, this sign's only found in southeastern Alabama, and they'll get that. Like, it's crazy. Meanwhile, before, mine was like, is this on the right or the left side of the road? Like, it's gone crazy. But time to focus on my Twitch journey here. We'll continue about my Twitch journey. After GeoGuessr for a little while, I lost access to be able to stream that. So I would just stream sort of whatever on my Xbox. I was kind of just lost for a while. I would stream anything from like Fortnite literally to Halo Infinite, anything I was playing. I streamed NHL sometimes, baseball games. Like, I was just kind of not knowing what to do. I was lost for so long until I found Twisted Metal. Now, this started with the Twisted Metal show first, which re-engaged my passion for the Twisted Metal series. And since then, my friend Vantiglow actually had the great idea of going and starting to stream Twisted Metal now that it's gotten quite popular again. Uh, that and I've only actually beaten Twisted Metal Black. I've never actually fully beaten the other games, so it was a great way to play all the other games in the series. Long story short, I started streaming Twisted Metal uh, about 5, 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And that's what got me the success I have today. Because not only did I find the Twisted Metal Federation, a Discord channel that was started by a few YouTubers in the Twisted Metal community. I found that and made a lot of great friends through there and got to know quite a few people. And a lot of the people in the Twisted Metal Federation came over to my streams and started watching them there. And that's when the success really started coming. I would regularly stream PS1 Twisted Metal games over the last like 4 or 5 months, and I eventually got a rhythm going where I would have at least 4 or 5 people watching most of my streams, especially in the last couple months. Oh yeah, and it was from there where I started getting regular viewers from the Twisted Metal Federation coming back over and over, and they could tell I was actually enjoying the game. That's the one thing I realized too right away is that now that I found a game that I'm passionate about, people are they have a tendency to watch me way more because people can honestly tell when you're just playing a game and you don't enjoy it. Like with Halo. Halo Infinite I play at half the time I'm not even having fun. And people can see that. Like it's obvious. So people will appreciate my passion for Twisted Metal and they have. I've now made it to affiliate because of that, along with playing other PS1 games. So that was my like long story short of my journey, how I ended up streaming Twisted Metal regularly. Now, going forward, I'm going to be streaming PS1 and PS2 games, hopefully Twisted Metal Black soon, by the way, just in general. I'm going to try to switch it up, though, because now that I made affiliate, for those who don't know, I can get paid subscriptions to my channel, which means they get bonus emotes and stuff like that, which I'll get into in a second there. They get bonus emotes, they get like all kinds of other bonuses with that. You can also donate someone bits. Now, bits is almost like an in-game currency for Twitch, so it has a value. Let's say I don't know off the top of the head the actual value, but bits has like let's say you buy 1,000 bits for $10. That's just I don't know if that's the value. That's just my example. 10 bits is $1,000. You give that 1,000 bits to the streamer, they get 50% of that because Twitch takes 50%. So I would actually get $5 right away. And so far, I've already made about $20 because of stuff like that. So that's exciting. That's only after 2 streams, by the way, or four. Yeah, 4 streams since I got affiliate, and I've already made $20. And that's like just the funny thing is, this is the ups and downs of Twitch. As soon as I made affiliate, the next few streams I basically had the next couple of streams I had like next to no viewership. The last two have been great though. It's just it's funny how that is. I get success and then you get the ups and downs of Twitch. That's just gonna happen. I've learned to not let that bug me. Even one of the things I even do is I completely disable the viewership on my screen so I can't see how many people are viewing. Because I have a tendency, you say like I have 6 people watching and one guy leaves. As soon as that happens, I'm like, oh, why'd you leave? Did I do something? Whereas like they probably just, they're human. They probably got bored. I don't know. I can't take it personally. I get bored of some of the best things I get bored of some of the things I like the most. So, they just, lost interest. It's not that big of a deal, but that's why I don't have the stats of the viewership up. Most of the time, I do check it every hour or so. That way, I'm not looking at it. And I actually have, since I've changed it to doing that, I generally have way more success in my streams because I think my mood is a lot better, not even caring about the viewership. It just is. So, before I ramble on too much, I just want to talk about what's going to go on going forward with my Twitch channel. Now that I've made affiliate, things are going to change quite a bit. I mentioned this in the video, but I want to go a bit more into detail here. So, one of the things that one of my goals is to play every single Twisted Metal game with every character. That's still going to be the main goal of the channel, but I am going to switch things up as far as content I'm going to be streaming because ideally I want to be a variety streamer. In other words, I want people to come for me and not necessarily the content because that's the ultimate goal of Twitch at the end of the day. Because you don't want to be stuck in like a niche where if you don't want to play a game anymore, no one's going to come back. I want people to like me. So I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to go back to streaming GeoGuessr, for example, occasionally, just casually for fun. because I've gotten viewership through that in the past. I'm sure I can get viewership again, even if I'm not that as good as I used to be. Uh, One of the other things I want to do is New Music Friday. I talked about that in the video a little bit. Just in general, for going forward, one of the goals for my channel too, now that I don't have to focus so much on Twisted Metal, because I was focused on it hardcore because of the fact that it was getting me viewership. Now I don't have to be concerned about the viewership as much because I already have affiliate. That was the final step that I was missing, by the way, was the viewership. I needed an average viewership of 3, and now that I have that, I no longer have to focus on it so much. So what I'm trying to say is, now I'm going to start focusing on doing full playthroughs of some classic games I've always wanted to beat, like Driver 2 I'm doing right now, the Crash Bandicoot series, maybe some Formula 1 games, stuff like that. And if there's any single player game that anyone wants to see me play, if it's on the PS1, I can play it anytime. If it's on the PS2, it might be a little more complicated. But I want to do a lot of playthroughs going forward, start to finish, to get that full experience because I have a lot of fun doing it, and I feel like a lot of people do too. Along with that, I'm just going to be open to any idea. Like, I'm trying to find a more modern game I can play. I don't want to only play classic games. They are my favorite to stream at the time being, but it would be nice to have at least one game that's modern. That way, it's, there's new things to talk about. Because the problem with classic games is you can only talk about it so much, and then, everyone's heard everything about it. But basically, I'm just excited about the future. I don't know what to do with my channel. Uh, like I know what to do, sort of, but I don't know. I'm open to new ideas. Is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm freaking my brain's all over the place right now. So if anyone has any ideas for maybe some games I can play, shoot me a suggestion. Uh, no, honestly, during the next podcast, I'm going to talk about this a little more into detail because I want to move on here to our next. And now moving on to the second subject of today's podcast, the Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs have lost again. At this point, can I really be surprised? No, just at this, it's not even disappointment. It's just like repetitive stress. That's the other thing why I wanted to talk about this on my podcast, but I didn't want to talk about it right away either because I would have been going at it in more of an emotional way. Because honestly, it took me at least like a week and a half to get over it in my head. Like I was so sad about that, man. And like I've been sad about the Leafs losing before, but this one hurt extra because, in my opinion, the Boston Bruins didn't play very well at all. They were super beatable. They were extra, extra beatable. That's what was so frustrating about is how beatable they were. Uh, as far as opening round series, I think that was one of the worst series I've ever watched in my life. And I'm not even just trying to be rude to the players. Both teams didn't play that well, apart from like the occasional game. Both teams played like crap. It, it's so weird. I cannot believe the Boston Bruins got as many points as they did in the regular season, for one. But I guess that's the case for us too. We got a lot of points in the regular season too. We versed each other, and clearly, like I remember thinking towards the end of the series, I was like, even if the Leafs win it, neither of these teams are going to win in the second round. Neither of these teams are going to beat the Florida Panthers. They just aren't. They don't have the drive. Like I don't get it. Though the Bruins did play surprisingly well in the second round a few times. Anyways, so that disappointment is just gathering and gathering in general. And I'm back to the point of what I talked about last podcast where it's hard to care, man. It's just hard to care. It sounds super negative, but it is true. The reason that it is hard to care about, like, I care about the success of the Leafs. It's hard to care because it's hard to get my hopes up over and over when it seems hopeless. I know, again, that's negative to say, but like, there's nothing to prove. There's nothing to show that this team will ever succeed at anything. The problem being, I genuinely think the ownership doesn't care. This is a huge conspiracy I'll get into, I guess, where I genuinely think that the Leafs ownership just wants to succeed in the regular season and get to the playoffs so they can get the hype and the attention and all the ticket revenue and all the extra money and everything like that. Because at the end of the day, does it to the owners, do they really get anything out of winning the Stanley Cup? Not really. They get an extra bonus money maybe, but to them, I don't even think they care. I genuinely don't. Because the truth of the Leafs is it doesn't matter. We could just fail for the next 55 years. Again, the next 55 since we failed for the last 55. We could continue failing for the next 55 years, and people will still pay $5,000 for a ticket, $300 for a jersey, which I refuse to do uh, until we start succeeding again. By the way, I'm not going to support them financially. Uh, yeah, that's the issue is that we could literally be the worst team in the league, and we have been. And even when we were one of the worst teams in the league, we were the top Canadian franchise in all of sports. Not just the top NHL team, we were the top Canadian sports franchise, even when we went 10 years without making the playoffs. So that is why I am super convinced, not super convinced, semi convinced that the ownership just simply does not give a flying fuck if we win or not. They want to make the playoffs for the extra money. They want the star players like Matthews, Marner, and Tavares for the attention and all the jersey sales. The that conspiracy goes so deep to me that I think that's why that the GM was fired last year. I think the GM was fired because he challenged them and was trying to actually win. And they're like, what? No, we don't care. We'll pay someone less who doesn't care. Literally, though. And that's the thing is this pattern to me is going to lead to the Leafs are just not going to win a Stanley Cup. They're not. If they don't, if something doesn't change in the ownership, the Leafs will never win the Stanley Cup, man. Because I think that energy bleeds down to the players. You can see it. I watched Mitch Marner. I watched Tavares. They skated around like, can we just get this over with, man? I want to go home. That's the way they were going. Swear to God. And I love Mitch Marner. I'm a huge fan of him. So disappointing to see him just literally skate around, sometimes with this freaking stick in the air like Ovechkin, but I mean, Ovechkin's already accomplished things. He can do whatever the hell. I don't care. Side note, Ovechkin also wasn't trying in the playoffs, but whatever. He's not on my team, so I don't give a fuck. It just makes me so upset that I swear to God, I care more about the Leafs winning than half the team does. There's some players that are an exception. I think Matthews cares. He's one of the players that was working his balls off during the playoffs, except for honestly the last game he kind of disappeared, but that's it. Oh yeah, the last couple of games he was injured. That's why. That is why I remember that now. See, I've already emotionally shut out the series there. But Nylander was working his balls off too. So that's what I don't get. Why is Tavares the captain if he doesn't even try in the playoffs? And guess what? This wasn't just the Leafs. He doesn't try against the New York when he was the captain of the Islanders. It's the same thing. Literally the same thing where they would get to the playoffs and it looked like he would just shut down. So I don't know why we made him the captain. I think it's just because it looks cool at the end of the day. I lost my piece of paper with my information, so 1 second. I have to pick it up because there's one last thing I wanted to talk about. And oh, there we go. And this is at the end of the day, this is the huge issue with the freaking Bell and Rogers own the team. So they make money literally every time the Leafs play. Every time the Leafs play, the people who own them make money literally no matter what. The Leafs can get blown out 20-0. It doesn't matter. The Leafs are on TV. They're the most watched team in the league. Again, like I said earlier, even if they're shitty, they're still the most watched team in the league. So my issue with the cable companies owning the Leafs is if it's not an individual, there's no passion to win the Stanley Cup. Like, why would a corporation have a passion to win the cup? And B, like I said earlier, they make profit no matter what. So I wish it was the teachers union still owning them, but whatever. They literally make a profit though, no matter what. That's my biggest issue. In fact, yeah, I just don't think the cable companies should own the Leafs. But anyways, I'm just hoping for next year and updates since then. We've got a new coach, and I really like this coach. Hopefully he'll kick her. He's the kind of coach that, is hard on the players, but I don't think he's actually going to be. That's the other thing. I swear to God, the Leafs just want the players to stay. So they're not willing to risk, like, the ownership isn't going to make a coach be hard on, like, a player like Marner because they don't want to risk him leaving because then they can't make money off his jerseys and market him. Because, yeah, at the end of the day, that's the reason. That's my theory. I'm a little bit rambling on here again, but I guess next year, I'm just looking forward to next year. Hopefully, we can hear some. You know, hopefully I'll be back cheering that over and over and over. But I guess I'm just looking forward to next year, but I have lost my patience. I don't have the passion to cheer for them as much as I did. I'm more like a casual fan now, which is really disappointing. I've put more of my passion into motorsports now. So, anyways, moving on to the next subject. And so we're moving on to the third subject of today's podcast. Just gonna briefly talk about the Kendrick versus Drake beef. Now, if you want a longer summary on what happened, there's countless YouTube shorts, YouTube essays and stuff like that, and articles that you can watch. I'll even try to link a video in the description that summarizes it more than I do because I'm not going to do a long summary since everyone and the president of the United States, fucking everyone, has done a summary of this. Oh yeah, that's right. So sorry, I have to quickly check the article there. The funny thing is, this feud's technically started since like the 2010s because Kendrick Lamar made a song where he was like in a competitive, fun way, calling out all the rappers in the scene at the time, saying he's better than them, he's coming for their career, stuff like that. As literally just a fun thing to do, and every person but Drake thought it was cool. They even made their own little fun thing back, but Drake took it personally and like insulted Kendrick Lamar and saying like you're not coming for me and stuff like that. So that's sort of where the beef started way back then, and it just kind of cooled off for a while until this year, and it got reignited when there was a song. Let me look at the title here. I forget what it's called again. Oh yeah, like that by Future and Metro Boomin, where a verse by Kendrick Lamar just randomly called out Mr. Drake there, the crazy Canadian, and that's where the beef started. It just escalated so much to the point of actually being like super personal, where Drake, when first of all accused Kendrick of being a woman abuser, which just simply set Kendrick off, man. Like he's just going off, man. He went full on accusing him of Drake of all kinds of terrible stuff. He made like 4 or 5 rap disses. Like they're insane, man, including some of these crazy lyrics, which I'll read out when I get a second here. So yeah, and then after that, Kendrick just straight up went. He's like, "Well, if you go after my family, I'm literally going after your entire fucking family." So Kendrick, it just got set off so hard. It's hilarious, including this song called Meet the Grams, which I'll read some of the lyrics out for you. Basically, the song addresses each individual family member of Drake directly, like a letter. It's crazy, man. I'll 1 second. I'll have to cut out a bit of dead air here, but let me read out some of these lyrics. All right, so yes, here I'm gonna read some of these lyrics and just summarize this song. Is this song honestly impresses me? That's why I want to address it too, because not only is it, and I don't necessarily condone some of the most extreme lyrics. I don't want to take crazy sides right now and get a bunch of hate mail or anything. Just kidding. I know whose side I'm on. I'm on Kendrick's side. But let me just. I'm sorry to get distracted. Side note there. Side to get distracted there, but oh, I just find the lyrics of this song so freaking impressive and just the way it's done. Like he basically you can see Dear Adonis and then Dear Sandra directly addressing his son, his parents, and this one here too, where he says "Dear baby girl" because Kendrick Lamar is accusing Drake of having a kid he won't tell the public about, and a kid that Drake won't take care of. So these lyrics saying like, "I'm sorry that your father is not active inside your world," like, god damn. And then let's see, go back to the top, "Dear Adonis." It takes a man to be a man. Your dad is not responsive. Like, some of the others ones? Oh yeah, you should never let a man piss on your legs, son. Like goddamn. And then he tells him that if you don't understand this right now, play this when you're 18. Which I like to imagine that Drake's son waits till he's 18 and plays it, and then he's like, "Oh my god!" And then, oh my god! And then he goes into directly addressing his parents, which is amazing, saying like, Sandra, you should be ashamed because he's bad. He emotionally manipulates women. You should tells the dad to ask for more money. And then there's this one. Where's this? It says, Sandra, sit down. What I'm about to say is heavy. Now listen. And then he literally like clears his throat. which I find kind of cool. I don't know why. Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think blank like him should die. Like, holy shit! He literally just told Drake to fucking die. This is 2024, and Kendrick Lamar is telling Drake to die. That's woo! That's crazy. I'm not condoning that part, but that's insane. If what he says is true, then uh, uh so long story short, though, I'm gonna bring back my full face here in a second. Long story short is I don't want to go crazy into it because people have talked about this ad nauseum. I just wanted to point out some of the funniest lyrics there. Long story short, though, he's basically accusing Drake of all kinds of terrible sex crimes, including talking to minors and stuff like that. He he even has a He even has a line in one of the other songs that says, "Hey man, if you're gonna strike a chord, it's probably A minor," which makes me laugh my ass off for one. And honestly, shout out to Drake. A couple of his diss songs were actually pretty good. A lot better than I like usually. A lot better than what I'm used to with Drake, because I'm not the biggest fan of him. I think Drake sucks. I think he's a fake ass motherfucker. He's super fake and tries to act tough when he grew up rich. It, I've thought that for years, even before Kendrick said it. But to sum it up, sorry, Kendrick is basically accusing him of those crimes. And he's saying that the music industry and multiple people in the industry are also involved, and Drake is actually helping them get away with it. Uh, my issue with this is why, like, if Kendrick knows this, why do you wait till now to tell anybody? And again, why does that always happen? Literally, that always fucking happens with stuff like that. Like with Weinstein, they'd be like, "Oh, everyone knew about that." Well, why didn't anyone say anything? Oh, wait, because they're selfish. At the end of the day, too, a lot of these people will be like, "Nah, I was just worried about my career," which I guess I get, but also like you got to stand on your morals sometimes, man. Like Jesus Christ, people get away with stuff like this because of the fact that people don't say anything. Or weirdly enough, if this is true, Kendrick waited to say it in a song. Like I don't get that. Why doesn't he expose him, like actually expose him publicly properly? Like what the fuck? Like does anyone know why? That's just weird. It just is. It's fucking weird, dude. Oh yeah, holy shit. And Ben, we have a lyrical reading by Ben Shapiro that I want to play for you guys.
Man down, where you from, N-word? F who you know, where you from, my N-word? What your grandma say, huh, my N-word?
Why was he even reading that? Ben Shapiro is such a fucking weirdo. But yeah, overall, like I'm glad this beef has been super entertaining, and it's just really funny to see everything, including the fact that like Kendrick's actually violently angry. Like genuinely, I've never seen a man hate someone so much in so long. Like it is just fascinating to me. Uh, Overall, though, I am disappointed that if this has been going on in the industry and no one's saying anything, I'll be so fucking upset, man. It really will be. It's so disappointing if this is going on and no one's doing anything. But hey, someone's exposing it finally, maybe. And also, side note, I like how at during the Kendrick was like literally saying like, "Hey, you're into minors, Drake," and then Drake's like, "Oh, I didn't touch Millie Bobby Brown. What do you mean?" Ah! like, what the fuck? What is his problem? No one even mentioned Millie Bobby Brown, and bro's like, "What? I didn't touch her." Oh! Literally, he says that directly in his song, Drake. Like it's so strange. But anyways, if you want a better summary of what's going on, my hair's gone wild now. But if you want a better summary of what's going on, I'll try to link a video in the description. Then, as a companion piece to my little rant here, or my little rambling here. But we'll move on to the last subject of the day. A bit more positive. All right, moving on to the last subject, which is just the most recent fight in NASCAR between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch. It was super exciting. So, for those who don't know, NASCAR actually has quite a tendency to have fights at the end of races. Now, unlike other racing series, which when I think about it, there is the occasional argument and stuff like that, but NASCAR, there's a lot more bumping and banging, and it's a lot more competitive than most other racing series. There's a new winner almost every single week. It's kind of crazy, unlike Formula One. So, because of the fact there's a lot of competition and they're almost always banging into each other, especially at short tracks, you're never not hitting someone practically. There is a lot of rage at the end of races. So there's been like dozens of fights after NASCAR races, and I personally think it's entertaining as hell. I know some people say it's barbaric, but I mean, it's two people fighting, like a consensual fight. How to me, how is that any less barbaric than watching, 45 people drive in a circle for 5 hours? What's the difference? I'm watching guys drive in circles literally for 4 hours, and the problem is the fight at the end. Anyways, the most recent one was super exciting. It was between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch, which are both drivers I hate. Or hate's a strong word, but I don't like them either way. Especially Ricky Stenhouse, funnily enough, because Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for some reason has a tendency to just straight up, like both times, Kayumi Kobayashi was in a NASCAR race, a Japanese uh, sports racer car driver. He's been in Formula One as well as along with participating in Le Mans and the Daytona 24 Hours. He's a pretty famous Japanese race car driver. But somehow both fucking times he was in the race, Ricky Stenhouse took him out. Like he spun him out on purpose both times. The second time, they were literally competing for 37th position or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but something along the lines of like 38th. And he went out of his way to spin him out, including getting himself spun out while doing it. Like, oh my God, I could rant about Ricky Stenhouse all day. I can't stand the man, but he kind of redeemed himself this weekend. So, for context, how it started is Kyle Busch, and I wish I could show the video to you guys, but NASCAR would kill me or take me down in a second. But here, I'll use my hands. So, long story short, there was two. It was too wide between two cars, and then I can't remember who, if it was Kyle Busch or Ricky Stenhouse Jr. who tried to make it three wide. But while they were three wide, Ricky Stenhouse made like the ever so slight contact with um, Kyle Busch. It was Kyle Busch. What just happened to me there? Oh, for context, by the way, this is the all-star race for $1 million. So the only position that matters is first, and it's usually highly competitive because people don't have anything to lose. Unlike other races where if you like crash out into 38th, you lose a bunch of points in the championship. This, you finish last, you just don't win. So I wanted to add that context because of the fact that it was only a slight contact between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch absolutely overreacted where he hunted him down for a couple laps until he caught back up to him and spun him out on the left, which made Ricky Stenhouse overcorrect straight into the wall and end his race, just like that. Totally unnecessary by Kyle Busch, but also kind of karma for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. because I mentioned how he took out Kobayashi for no reason. So you know what? Fuck you, Stenhouse. You deserve that one, even though it was totally an overreaction by Kyle. But you know what? Karma's a bitch, and it's a real thing to me. That's proof right there. He got karma. But so then Kyle Busch gets to actually finish the rest of the race, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has to watch the rest of the race and just be pissed off the entire time. Like, man, I can't imagine the feeling because this happened on lap like 10 or something. It only happened like 10 laps into the race. And so there's like 180 laps to go, and dude has to just be there like, I'm going to fucking kill Kyle Busch. Because, like, man, how can you calm down after something like that? Ricky Stenhouse had a fast car, and he was actually kind of competitive at the front. He wants to win $1 million, dude, and to be 10 laps in and just kicked out, man, he'd be stewing. And the thing is with stuff like that, I think it channels the same emotions of road rage. Because just like road rage in NASCAR, you're in a high tense situation where you're in slight danger the entire time. So I think it is the exact same feeling. Now, I don't drive, so I don't know what road rage feels like, and I'm not a NASCAR driver, but it just makes sense to me. Because of the fact I've heard Formula One car drivers talk about how mad they'll be at a driver during a race, and then the race is over and they forget about it. So I just think it basically boils down to that. And so Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was experiencing some serious road rage, but the race wasn't over. He literally had to watch Kyle Busch go on lap after lap, just driving home free. And so what at the end of the race, Kyle Busch didn't win, thank God, because I can't stand him. Actually, my least Joey Logano won is another driver I don't like. But anyways, I only have like 3 drivers I don't like. Joey Logano won, and then they were showing Joey Logano They were talking, or they were showing the post-win interview with Joey Logano, like having him talk and everything. And then suddenly they did a split screen, and one screen was Joey Logano, the other was Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. talking. As soon as I saw that, I was like, no fucking way. Holy crap. They're actually going to show this live. The entire time, I'm just praying somebody punch someone. Please. Do it. I hate you both. I don't care. Literally. It's so funny. 2 people I hate are going to fight. Oh my God. I was so excited. Sorry. And then, literally, like, oh yeah. So you can hear them go back and forth. You can't really hear what they're saying over, because they have it muted, I'm pretty sure, because they're trying to listen to Joey Logano's celebration. But you see them go back and forth for about like a minute. And then out of nowhere, you see Ricky Stenhouse like, boom, just right in the face of Kyle Busch. Direct punch to the side of the cheek. I was like, literally, when that happened, out loud, I probably fucking woke my neighbors, because out loud I was like, holy fuck! Like screaming at the TV, and then oh man, you got to check it out. I'll try to fucking. I'll have a lot of links in the description today, but I'm gonna try to link the fight there because it's too funny. Not only did right away, as soon as Ricky Stenhouse punched Kyle, some of Ricky Stenhouse's Jr.'s team started trying to fight Kyle Busch himself. And then on top of that, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s dad, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., tried to fight Kyle Busch himself. The dad, Papa Ricky, literally tried to fight him. And Kyle Busch was willing to fight him too. They had to split them up. Both teams, like the team members, the pit crew members of each team, were just getting into a straight up brawl. Oh my God, it was so exciting, man. And it made, like, the race itself was just kind of meh. It wasn't terrible, but eh. I've never been a big fan of the All-Star race as an adult. I used to like it as a kid. So I don't know. It just didn't usually excite me. And the racing was kind of, because the short track racing isn't that great, but that's a whole side note. So to have that little bonus at the end absolutely made the race. Otherwise, that race would have been so forgettable. Instead, it's memorable as fuck. I have that still saved because I've watched the punch over and over. It's so funny. I've been waiting years to see Kyle Busch punch in the face, and I got to watch it live on television. So cool. Holy shit. It was so fun. Sorry, Kyle Busch fans, but come on. He's such an unlikable guy sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's funny. Kyle Busch, I honestly hate him because it's fun to hate him, and he's the most hated driver in NASCAR, so it's kind of fun to join it. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I actually kind of just hate because I think he's kind of racist. I genuinely think he might be racist. That's a whole different rant. But that's all I really have to say about that. Um, Other than why I think it's fun, I guess. First of all, I grew up as a hockey fan, like you heard me mention. I'm still a hockey fan, just not as hardcore as I used to be. So fighting in sports is just something I think is interesting. Like, you're in the middle, especially in hockey, where the game stops and they fight, and you only get like a 5-minute penalty. Uh, so just because I'm used to that, I feel like that's the reason I like the fighting in NASCAR so much. Plus, I don't know, chaos is fun, man. Chaos is fun to watch, and come on, NASCAR's the kind of sport that benefits from stuff like that. Because let's be real, right now the sport's kind of dying. It needs more stuff like this. Because I saw TSN talk about it. I saw it on a mainstream news source talking about this fight. Like, literally, I turned on TSN the other day, and that was what they were talking about for like 10 minutes, and then showing past NASCAR fights. Like, come on. Before we get on to the conclusion of today's podcast, I want to talk about my album of the week. Now, that would be Natty Dread by Bob Marley and the Wailers. So let me just pull up that album here on Spotify so I can tell you what I like about it, because I have terrible song names. But I just find this, as it's loading my Spotify, it's installing it for the first. Okay, weird. So my Spotify uninstalled itself, so that's a side note. I don't know what the hell that was about. So as I'm loading Spotify here, I just wanted to talk about how I just find there's a certain groove to this album. It feels more dancey than a lot of the other albums. That's why I want to pull up the Spotify here. 1 second. If it'll ever load. There we go. All right, so yeah, this album has like classics such as no, it has the studio version of No Woman, No Cry, which I like. A lot of people don't because the live version is so famous, but I like the studio version of that. It has Lively Up Yourself, another classic by Bob Marley. But the reason I like this album, it has a lot of B-sides type songs that I had never heard of, like Them Belly Full and Rebel Music. Them Belly Full is one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life. It's so good. It really is. It's got a nice groove to it. It has a nice political message behind it that I won't get into too much. Overall, I just think this album's a 9 to 10 out of 10 album that is great to put on when you just want to chill outside kind of thing and you don't want something too involved, that'll hype you up. It's a great chill album for anyone. I think anyone can like this album, even though like reggae gets a reputation for being repetitive. I just don't find this album to be repetitive whatsoever. So please give that album a listen if you even remotely like Bob Marley at all or reggae music. Please give that a listen. Overall, though, I just want to thank everyone who's watching for watching. I apologize for how all over the place the podcast was today. I also had an interview earlier this morning, so my brain's a little. But I just wanted to get it out. I just wanted to get it out because I'm super delayed about 2 weeks on doing it. So I wanted to get the podcast out to start getting back into the routine of things. So hopefully I'm gonna try to record another one by next week and then release it. That way I can at least get 2 this month. But anyways, I hope everyone has a wonderful day and please tune in next time. I will be making much more interesting things for next podcast for sure. I just hope everyone has a great day and have a nice life.